Mangi here from Buenos Aires, Argentina. I've been a Servas member for 29 years, and my first trip was many years ago with my backpack to Europe, and I traveled on my own many times since then. Why on my own? Because my husband and I, well, maybe we decide different destinations, or maybe we have work, or we are busy. But anyway, traveling on my own is a great experience. I open myself much more. I relate with people of course, much more also. And the Servas community is a very important part of my trip. A trip that I remember was the one I made to Scandinavia, where I traveled with my folding bike, and I stayed in Servas houses, and all the experience was great. If I have an awful experience, no, I don't have. No.
Hello. First of all, I would like to say thank you for inviting me for this discussion. My name is Svetlana. I'm living in St. Petersburg, Russia. In Servas team almost 15 years. So I have visited some European country alone. It was Israel, Italy, Finland. Just a short experience. And I have been in India with Servas twice. So question, how safety to travel for women alone? I think it depends from woman who is travel, who should prepare everything for this trip, who should have a suitable clothes, not bright makeup, very decent behavior, to know traditional this country where she is going. So it depends from woman who is travel. It depends from host. The host should be responsible for meeting this woman or explain something dangerous things traditional country. And also it depends from country.
Hello to all of you who are lucky enough to be traveling to India. I'm jealous. I haven't been there in a long time. I am Linda. I live in Denver, Colorado. I am 69 years old and have been a Servas member since 1990. I traveled then for about 6 months around the world with a friend and stayed with numerous Servas hosts. In fact, I went back and visited another Servas host 20 years later, and it was wonderful. So we've kept connections with those people as we meet them, which is one of the benefits of Servas. Where have I been traveling? I have traveled in lots of Asia, in Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, and Myanmar. I have traveled in Africa by myself. I went to Malawi and volunteered there for a couple of months. And presently I have a van which I have taken from the middle of the United States down into Mexico and lived on a beach with no running water, no electricity for a month, and thoroughly enjoyed that. So the issues of traveling alone. There really are not that many. I think the main thing is to always pay attention to your gut feeling. When I haven't, I've ran into trouble. When I have, I sleep better that night. I may walk into a hotel and it just doesn't feel right. I'll turn onto a street. It doesn't feel right. I turn around and change direction. Servas, of course, makes it easier to visit a country and learn more about it You also have the host there that can guide you as far as safer areas and suggestions on things to do, as well as someone possibly to do them with. Let's see. I guess one of the big things that I do that makes me feel safe is that most places I visit, I like to stay for a while. And so when I visit, I try and plan a volunteer situation. The first time I volunteered was when my daughter was 12 years old, and we went and volunteered teaching English in Thailand. We used an agency for that, but since then, I have been finding my volunteer situations on my own. So if I've read something that is like a school or a children's home or a place that has agricultural needs, I check with them, and I may come across them either in a book or in a magazine article or something I see on TV, and I contact them directly, usually through email, and just say, would you consider having me as a volunteer? And I list my skills, and I've been very successful with that. And generally, I'll stay from a month to 3 months, and usually housing is included. So that certainly makes it easier. And also, you have that connection to the community that you wouldn't have if you were just traveling through on your own and not staying for a while. My latest volunteering experience was in Myanmar, where I returned, and I was working at a Buddhist school that had the kids from the community as well as monks and nuns, and I was teaching English and math. I'm a teacher by trade, I guess you would say. I think that pretty much covers what I wanted to share with you. I highly encourage traveling alone. There's so much out there to see, and if you can find a friend that will travel with you, that makes it easier in a lot of ways, but sometimes it's easier to be alone too. So, best of luck and enjoy this conference.
I am Giovanna Franca Formento, and I live in Cuneo, a little town in the south of Piemonte in Italy. I am 17 years old. I like trekking, and I am a sportive woman. I joined Servas in 1984, many years ago. And why? I like to be a Servas member. I believe in peace, and I see in Servas the possibility to build peace, if I meet people. I like my life. I live alone now. From many years I live alone. And I ask to myself, can I travel alone? Can I continue to stay with Servas friend alone? And I say yes, it is a very nice experience traveling alone. And when you are alone and you arrive in a town and you see that there is the possibility to meet a person who opened the door of his house, and you can speak with them, you can understand their culture, and you can visit places with this new friend. I think it is a very treasure, and I had very nice experience traveling alone with Servas. Servas is great. Is great if you are alone, and is great because the future can be future only if humans stay together in peace. My best experience not with Servas, but traveling alone, was when I was younger, and I wanted to go to Nepal. Nepal is very far from Italy, and I was afraid. I asked to myself, can I really go there alone? Will I able to do this experience? And I was a little bit afraid, but I wanted to convince myself that I could do things by myself. And it is not right to be afraid and not to do what you like. And I remember I began to walk on the trail. I wanted to go to see Everest, and I asked for a porter for my luggage, and this person with my luggage walked in the morning, and we joined in the evening. And all the day I was alone. I arrived in the lodges and I was alone. And sometimes I was suffering for the situation, but I was strong in that moment, and I remember the people looking at me like a person a little bit strange, a person. They asked me always, but really you are alone? But why you are alone? But why you are alone and you are a woman traveling alone? And I remember all these eyes looking at me with curiosity. I don't think that if I was a man, people was so curious about me. This experience make me more strong. I changed in myself. I get more trust in my possibilities, and really, I grow up. And after that experience, now if I have to go in some place alone, I go without all the anxiety, without the difficulties, even if really it's better to travel with friends and to have the possibility to divide, to how to say, my English, sorry, is not so good. I hope you can use my interview, even if my English is not perfect. And I hope that all the women I have seen traveling in the world in so bad situation, I have seen many women really working a lot without rights, without the possibility to have their autonomy. And I hope we have to believe in ourselves. And also a little experience, like to go from a town to another where you know that there are servers, friends, and begin to do this by yourself. I think it is a very good experience, and every woman had to begin to think that we can. Okay, thank you, and I hope you like and you can understand me. Ciao.
Hello, my name is Alba. I come from Solsona, which is a small town between Andorra and Barcelona in Catalonia, Spain. And I have been a Servas member for more than 20 years. At the beginning, I was traveling with my ex-husband, but then I began to travel alone or sometimes with friends or other people. The advantage of traveling alone as a woman, it's that you find people that help you all the time, and you don't have to think that you have to be with the same people, because you can choose who you go with. If you go with your partner or always with friends, there's no choice, and the people you go with will be always the same. As a traveler, during the day, most of the time you are alone if you want to, so it means that you have more time to yourself, you have more time to read, to think, and this is also very important. Even though I'm a very sociable person, I also like to enjoy time just being alone. But then Servas gives you the possibility of meeting people in the evenings, and so you feel like that you have a family, and if you need help, they will always give you advice, and if you have any problems, you don't really feel alone, actually. Sometimes I must admit that it could be that just for being a woman they want to protect you more than what is needed. As an anecdote, I remember that I was in Italy, and the service host had to take me to the airport or the train station to catch a flight, and I decided to go using BlaBlaCar, which means that it's like a hitchhiking, organized, but you don't know the person, so you travel with people that you don't know. And that man, wanting to protect me or maybe worrying a little bit about me, he took me to the place where this man from BlaBlaCar drove me to the airport, and later on he asked me if everything had been okay, and I said yes, I had no problems being with that man traveling to the airport. He was very nice, very kind, and later he said to me that he had actually taken notes of the number plate, so he wasn't so happy about leaving me with someone else. But I've never had any bad experiences, even though I must say that I have traveled in the Western world. For example, I've been traveling alone in Australia, also in Canada, and I've always had very good experiences. If sometimes people ask me if I was traveling alone, I said I'm visiting people, and then people find it maybe more normal, or it also depends on the people, of course, than if you just say that you are all the time by yourself. Because in fact, if you are with Servas, you are not alone, you have a family, and this is a great advantage, that you have a lot of support. So I really would encourage Servas women around the world to travel, especially even if they come from a country where people don't do it. If they can actually go to a country where it's accepted and normal, it's really a wonderful experience. So I wish you all the luck and enjoy your future travels with Servas.
Hello, I'm Jessica Boveri. I'm 51 and I'm a member of Servas Italy. I've been a member of Servas since 2011. I can't even remember why I joined, probably because being a member of an organization like Servas would allow me to meet a large number of people I would never get in touch otherwise, and like-minded people who share a certain attitude towards traveling, towards peace, towards what it means to be friendly, to be open. Often travel alone, basically because it's very easy and it's quick to organize. It's simple. One only needs to take into consideration their own needs and likes. If you travel with somebody else, you gain a lot, but you also have to take into account other people's requirements. I've never had any special problem traveling as a woman alone. Of course, I take the usual precautions. I don't walk alone at night in unlit areas or in areas which have a reputation for being rough. I like a little bit of adventure, but I try to always be safe. If I'm unsure of the situation, I try to go to public places, to places where there are lots of people, or to be near authorities like a police station or even just shops. I think traveling as a lone woman allows you lots of advantages since you're not perceived as threatening. People let you in more easily. They're more open. They're willing to share experiences, to let you see things they might not want to if there were more people. If you were in the company of men, for example.
Hello, my name is Elena. I'm 26 years old and I am from Barcelona, Spain. I joined Servas together with my family more than 10 years ago, and we did our first trip to Ireland, where we met a really lovely family that I visited 2 years later on my first solo trip. And since then, I've enjoyed traveling a lot uh, on my own or with other people. But what I appreciate about traveling on my own is the flexibility and adaptability that it gives me. There's many cases where, well, it's easier to solve challenges if you just need to solve one person's needs. And also sometimes that, for example, you're making a queue to enter to a place where there's like limited spaces, and if they just have one space, they ask in the queue if there's anyone traveling alone. And if there's couples or families that they don't want to split up, like you end up going there first. And I've benefited from that uh, multiple times already. um, yeah, there's one experience that I remember. Um, I was traveling to New York for my first time. I was coming from Los Angeles, and I had taken like a 5 hour uh, flight with like I woke up like before 5 a.m. I was tired. I was lost. It was my first time in the city, and I remember also like my flight had been changed, and so like I ended up in a airport that wasn't supposed to be my own. So the people who was hosting me couldn't come to pick me up, so I had to take a train to meet them. And I was a little bit like lost and worried. But then I decided that I did not want to show that because New York City, I've been told it's like, it can also be a dangerous city if you look like a tourist. And I was traveling with my big backpack in the back, my small one here, and I decided to look like someone who knew what they were doing. So there I am, leaving one metro station. I needed to walk to the other train station, and I was with my phone. I was like, I'm gonna make this look like it's not me trying to figure out Google Maps. I actually went the wrong way once and I turned back. But then by some point, as I was getting closer to the station, I had not one but two people stopping me and asking me if that was the way to the station, as I was the local and I was supposed to tell them which way to go. So I think from that I learned that yes, of course, there are moments where l- traveling can bring you challenges, but the perspective, like the attitude that you choose to bring, it has a huge impact. As I said before, I started traveling on my own when I was 16 years old. And I think it was relieving for my parents to know that those first trips were safe in the sense that every night I would go back to a Servas home where they know they could trust this environment. And so this empowered me to slowly grow out of my comfort zone and do more adventurous trips like going to Greece to work with the refugees or travel around the Nordic countries also on my own and meet people from really different cultures who have migrated to Europe and had joined Servas. And I think if it had not been for Servas, this would not have been possible.